Well, we'll delve into that topical issue now, and that's talking about voter apathy and vote buying, which, of course, have become, something part of Nigeria's political lexicon. And they trend more during election periods. While Nigerians have sufficiently shown their unwillingness to vote, some politicians appear to have devised a means of persuading some of them to vote. The recent governorship election in Ekiti State has shown that voter apathy and vote buying are two debilitating factors currently threatening Nigeria's democracy. Now, though some have continued to deny their involvement in the inducement of voters, it was alleged that the three major political parties, that's the All Progressives Congress, APC, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Social Democratic Party, SDP, were part of the electoral misconduct. Now, to further analyze this, we have Alistair Wilcox, a political analyst, join us right now via phone. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Wilcox.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Now, we know that voter apathy and vote buying has become part of Nigeria's political landscape. But what are your thoughts on the fact that it looks like it's something that has come to live with us, especially when you look at the elections that are held in Ekiti. And now Osun State is approaching, and we see that a lot of people have already come to accept vote buying and voter apathy as part of Nigeria's political system. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, 4 years ago, it was publicly alleged, or it was public notice that there was vote buying in Ekiti. It seems that Ekiti always, it's always the example of vote buying. 4 years ago, it was alleged to happen, even though nobody was prosecuted for it. Because even the government had to be sending SMS alert to people, which later was converted to part of their salary they were owed for months and all that. So the question to ask is, why is there vote buying? And I think vote buying is as a result of voter apathy to elections. And who are those being bought? Of course, those that have been bought are the those are the lower rungs of society. I don't see it as vote buy. I think I see it as inducing people to come out and vote. Because sincerely, a lot of people do not care about democratic structure. So something must bring them out. Not especially the people at that level. Their political awareness is so low, and even their political choices are so low because it's not based on ideology or campaign promises. It's based mainly on either their affiliation, their attachment, sentiments, and all what. So something needs to bring them out on that election day to come and vote, and that's why the politics are capitals on it, and to bring out as many people as possible through that kind of inducement. I would just say an inducement, because vote buying will mean that somebody has a political ideology, and then you now bought him or her over to your side. But most of these people that are beneficial of vote buying or vote inducement, they are like the lowest of the society. And so you need to bring something, because even they are the people that constitute a majority of the voting population. So something must be used to bring them out. I think that's where we are today.
Well, let me come in here. If you say it is not vote buying, that it is just a way of inducing the voters to come out to vote, isn't? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. If you say it's not vote buying, that it's just a means of inducing voters to come out to exercise their franchise, isn't that an indirect way of of coloring it, considering that those who get these inducements still have to vote for the party that has, in quotes, induced them?
Hello, I didn't hear that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you come up and you go down. So can you just be straight on the audible level?
Oh, okay. My question is this: if you say it is not vote buying, that it is just a way of inducing voters to come out to exercise their franchise, don't you think that that's an indirect way of coloring this thing? Because those who are induced to come out to vote will still end up voting for the party or the candidates that have, in quotes, induced them.
Yes, look, I'm not coloring it, or I'm not trying to justify it.
Okay.
I'm not a politician. I don't belong to any party, and I'm not standing for election also, but we're just looking at societal issue. It's a societal ill.
Yes.
And I said it's because there is the electoral or political awareness of people in exercising their franchise is low.
Okay.
The political awareness of people attending rallies of politicians or hearing what politicians are offering them is low, especially at the level of those that are being induced with 1,000 naira, 2,000 naira to go and vote. The awareness is low. And so naturally, these are persons that will not, majority of them are persons that will not bother themselves on election day to go and vote because they do not have a choice. I mean, they do not have a basis of making a choice of an electoral choice, either based on the candidate's manifesto or the candidate antecedents or precedents or whatever.
Okay.
So these are mainly the people that are being bought.
So,
Majority of the people that are being bought.
are you implying that the buying of their votes is reducing voter apathy? Because that is not what we see from statistics.
No. I've told you. I said majority of this issue is because there's voter apathy. Now, if somebody is politically active and wants to vote, it doesn't need to be bought. But anybody that wants to vote has already made up his mind on who to vote for. Now, if you want to vote at your level or at my level, I have a candidate I want to vote for. So I don't need to be bought to go and vote for the president. But a lot of these people, they don't have that political choice. They don't know of that political choice. And because the level of awareness is low, illiteracy and other factors come to play. So the politicians will have a way, always find a way to bring them out to come and vote.
But to vote for those parties too, that's it. The politicians are not bringing them out to vote for their choices or their conscience. The politicians are inducing them.
But if you have to bring somebody out to come and vote, what will you do? You bring him out to come and vote, you spend money.
That's basically vote buying.
To go and vote for your opponent.
That's what I'm saying. That's vote buying.
No, well, I've told you, I'm not saying don't vote buying. I say it's inducement to vote.
Your theory,
You can call it buying. You can
Mr.
call it
Wilcox,
inducement.
your theory is at variance with that of the people who believe that these people are being impoverished to now eventually use that as an advantage to buy their vote, especially when you consider the fact that many of those people they are aware of what they are doing. They know who they want to vote for. They are politically intelligent, but because they do not have the wherewithal, they are not, able to make 3 square meals, and then it's easier for these political bigwigs and juggernauts to buy their vote and eventually make them play against their conscience.
My dear, let's be factual. Let's be factual. You see, this issue of people of poverty as a basis of which, because they cannot expect 3 square meals, look, it's an overflowed malady. It's just a psychological thing. Because even if you buy somebody, you give somebody 5,000 to buy his vote, is that what's going to visit for a whole year? So what happened the next day when there's no election? Well, he doesn't. Has he had competence?
Are you saying poverty has no role to play in this?
Hold on. We can make all the excuses for anybody. For me, it is quite nonsensical for anybody to sell his conscience. If you have a conscience for 2,000 naira. I mean, we are adults. These are adults with children. Is that what they use to feed their children or send their children to school? Is it the 2,000 naira? So, but that we make a psychological excuses for people for doing the wrong thing to be poverty. They cannot feed their children. Who made us to feed? Is it the politician? Does the politician tell us to feed? Or those politicians that they want to provide you food, or provide you a farmland? So let's say something clearly. We find ourselves in a situation whereby a lot of people are making excuses for the wrong thing they do. And what's the excuse? Oh, because they are of poverty. Is it the person that tells you to go and have 6 children that you cannot feed? Is it the person that told you that you should not have your farm, that you should not work hard in your farm? Is it a politician? Yes, the politicians have their own duties to do. When you have your own duty to do, is it a person that give you a job that you are doing today? Or is it a person that sent you to school? So let us be factual of what we do. When society is committing an infraction, let's face society. I don't make excuse for that. I don't make excuse for anybody. Yes, the person will always cash on your gullibility. If you are gullible and think 2,000 naira is what will sustain you, or what will give you 3 square meals, then 2 pass for you. Look, you have to
Well, it's easy for you to make such assertions, Mr. Wilcox, especially if you look at the statistics and everything we have out there that over 100 million Nigerians are living below the poverty line, and that is even one of the World Bank releases statistics. You get all of these everywhere. You see Nigerians who are out there trying to make ends meet, and then a politician comes their way giving them some form of money that they're not able to afford.
There is nowhere in the world that milk and honey flows from top. I grew out of poverty. I was not born in a rich home. I was not born in a rich home. I grew out of poverty. I went to school cutting firewood to sell to go to school. I'm telling you, in the 80s, I sold firewood to go to school. I sold pap on the street of Port Harcourt to go to school. So there's no in the world people are born with silver spoons or government provides you everything you need. It's your responsibility. You are poor and then you're having 6 children and then you are giving excuses. Because you are making a living and then you're having children that you cannot take care of and then you blame it on society. Come on, let's be factual. Let's address society. Then we can address government. All these excuses we make today, poverty. Who created it? The government? Does government tell me where in the world where government will bring everyone and feed them? Apart from the Scandinavian countries.
All right, so
excuses. We all grow out of this system.
So you believe it is more of a psychological?
I thought of the 80s. I sold firewood. I cut to the bush, cut firewood and sell to go to school.
Okay.
Abiola did it. So why are we giving excuses for today and then we are giving excuses for everybody and say because of poverty, that's why you're selling your conscience that you don't want to do? Society.
Okay, vote buying and the issue of poverty, that's psychological. We get that. Let's look at the issue of apathy now within our electoral space.
The apathy is because people are sharing away. It's also the same part of illiteracy.
You think? Let me butt in here. You think it's illiteracy, or rather the fact that the process has not given them that trust that they viewed it back to in the system. Over time, people have the notion that their votes do not count, that elections are rigged, and all of that. It's that mistrust that has brought about apathy.
My brother, if votes do not count, why did they buy it?
That's what I'm saying, that it's that mistrust between the people and the electoral system that has brought about the apathy, where people have that conventional notion that their votes do not count, that at the end of the day, even when they come out to vote, it's still not going to be their choice that will count.
So that the question is, then you should be educating them. You in the media, we educated and we in the political space.
That's why I'm asking you, because it's your duty to answer this. I'm to ask the questions. That's what I'm asking.
So vote counts, that is why people are buying it. And
okay.
If you sit in your house and think that your vote is not count because you voted for a candidate that lost, you see, most times we think that by the time we vote, that candidate must win.
Okay.
Do you understand? That is the wrong notion we always have about election. That by the time we vote, that candidate we vote for must win.
Okay.
Look, I voted in 2003. I voted for late Ganifa Oemi, and I was proud to tell somebody I voted for Ganifa Oemi.
Okay.
You don't want to tell me what people tell me you wasted your vote because you will not win.
Okay.
Now, I'm talking about educated people and uneducated people. Now, the belief is when you vote, whoever you vote for must win. Then you forget that you're not only one candidate, you're voting for multiple candidates.
Yes.
And so that notion is what you and I should be addressing. Your vote counts because that your candidate does not win doesn't mean that your vote does not count.
Okay.
Okay, we've seen places where a different party won elections.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the north. We've seen places where look at Oyo State. Oyo State has been changing from APC to PDP, PDP to APC. You see that. So your vote counts because that is why those things are happening. That the candidate you voted for didn't win doesn't mean that vote did not count. So if it didn't count, why are they buying it?
Are you then saying?
Come to buy it?
Okay, let me come in here. Are you saying that illiteracy is the only reason we have apathy within our electoral landscape?
Functional illiteracy. Now, when I mean functional, I mean it's not because you didn't go to school, but
okay.
because of their mentality, and that's the mentality that we take in this country. Functional illiteracy. We don't. Yes, I agree. Look, don't get me wrong. Our political system is still evolving. There was a time when we used to have
Yes.
where the votes are even people will not vote and they will write results. It still happens till tomorrow.
Yes.
That's fact is there. So there is still clean up in the electoral system. But you also discover that has far improved. Look at Ekiti for example. When Fayose won his first election in 2003,
yes,
he won Ekiti with over 1 million votes. Then you can write results. But today, the whole vote in Ekiti is not up to 400,000.
Okay.
Plus the winner, plus everybody is not to 400,000. That means there is now sanity, a bit of sanity
in the system. Okay.
And it's still going up.
Okay.
Because by the time the sanity takes root and is getting more sanitized, you will discover that your voter counting. The important thing is come out and vote. It doesn't matter who you vote for. He may not be the winner, but still vote for the person. So that is your choice.
Okay, you just talked about sanity being restored into the system, citing, the recent Ekiti governorship poll as an example. Now, talking about, the issue of apathy within our political landscape, do you think the Electoral Act 2022 will go a long way in addressing that? Various clauses like transmission of electronic transmission of results, among other clauses in there.
Sorry, I'm losing you again. Sorry, please. I'm losing you again.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, my question is this. You just mentioned, sanity being restored into the system, and you made use of the Ekiti governorship poll as a prime example. My question is, do you think that the Electoral Act 2022 will go a long way in, addressing issues of apathy within our political landscape?
No, Electoral Act will not address apathy. Electoral Act will address conduct of election.
In terms of restoring confidence into the process.
Sorry?
In terms of restoring confidence into the process, the electoral process.
That's what I'm saying. The Electoral Act will help to create an environment for the election. It is not going to address apathy because apathy is an individual thing, which cannot be legislated upon.
So how do we address the issue of voter apathy?
The issue is voter education by all stakeholders, by INEC, by the political class, now by the media. Now you see, today a good thing is happening, even though I'm not part of that movement, this obedience movement. It's happening. It is addressing voters apathy because it is showing that a lot of people, through a movement, through a consciousness, it's beginning to realize knowing that they have a voting power. I'm talking about the youth. Okay? And it's affecting so many people. Now, will they succeed at this one attempt? It depends on the election. Now, the problem that will be, if maybe they didn't succeed this time, they will say the vote doesn't count. But it's a sustained thing. It's not a dash. It's a marathon. So now a movement is on, talking about the obedient movement, and they are enticing people to come out and vote. So this is the issue of addressing apathy. So also other people should be doing it. The civil society should be doing it. It's not only waiting to go and collect money, but you see a lot of times what we do is constantly that that does not fetch us money. Personally, we don't do it. INEC has a responsibility of voters education and awareness. How many times have you seen INEC on the street addressing voters awareness? They will go to a whole town hall meeting where only few people will attend, and those who will attend, they will pay them to attend. So, and again, we Nigerians too, we want to be paid for everything. We want to be paid to do something, and that is where the voters, the vote buying inducement comes in. So we want to be paid. We believe that the politician, the political class must give us money, must attend to our needs. To make somebody become a counselor, you want him to pay your child school fees. The child that you have, is you that want to have your children, 7 to 8 of them. Because somebody become a counselor, you are not bombarding him. You want him to pay your school fees. You want him to feed their mother. You want him to pay a house rent.
All right, Mr. Wilcox.
These are the ills that society has, and then that is where when you didn't get what you want, you now feel discouraged that there is not working.
Thank
for
you.
me, we need to change that attitude.
All right. Thank you very much. That's a fine place to leave it. Thank you so much for talking to us on this issue. And have a good day.
Always my pleasure. Anytime. Thank you very much.
All right. We've been speaking with Lester Wilcox. He is a public affairs analyst talking to us about voter apathy and talking about voter education in dealing with the issue of voter apathy and also inducement. Well, we'll take a break now. When we come back, it will be time to talk money. Please stay with us.